That would be, even more disappointing.
Just like this podcast. Hi, everybody.
Wow.
Sorry,
Starting
those were the
off,
first words of the episode, so I had to just yeah, okay.
starting off with a self-deprecation.
Yeah.
That's a note to start on.
Well, I mean, not exactly in the best headspace at the moment, but we're not going to talk about that. So, how's it going, everybody? Is everything good?
Ooh,
Tired.
great.
Spent most of the day playing Tears of the Kingdom. So
Oh right. Oh god. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. It's.
Are we doing
it's,
this? Like, this is timely. Are we doing this?
it can be
Yes.
pretty quick, honestly.
It's
Not waste any time just doing other stuff when this is probably what anyone listening to this wants to hear about. So,
pretty much. It's just more Breath of the Wild. I mean, they didn't change a whole lot, at least gameplay wise. I mean, you get some new runes. All the weapons in the kingdom are broken. It's kind of infuriating.
How much have you played?
I've been playing it since it came out, so 2.5 days.
I mean, could you give me an estimate as to how far you are?
I've been doing nothing but exploring and activating shrines. So
Hmm.
I'm up
Um.
to 11 or 12 hearts.
I would this is kind of an interesting game because it doesn't. The last game was like you can go and defeat Ganon, go and just screw off and do whatever. But this game is there's some story stuff that you kind of need to do to unlock some things, which is interesting.
Huh,
Uh,
that's uncommon.
yeah, you cannot run straight to the final boss. You have to do the story. You have to do the various temples and what have you.
yeah, the Nintendo weird about, like, they were like, hey, you can totally just go and defeat Ganon immediately in Breath of the Wild, and that's cool. And everyone came up with a bunch of challenge runs for how to do that. And Nintendo were like, no, challenge runs are not how you're supposed to play the game. Which is weird. So,
Yeah.
Well, this is a more story heavy game. There's I've been having a lot of fun with the game. Um, I've actually been wanting my weapons to break so that way I can get another weapon and then fuse it and try out different combinations. Because the fusing mechanic is really fun.
can't you drop them?
Um, you mean like unfuse them?
I mean, like, put them on the floor and leave them behind. Like,
But what's the point in making them to begin with?
Yeah, I can, but I want to use them all up before I try out something new. Get the most out of my durability, which various weapons. Yeah.
The most fun thing I found so far is that you just start as a single-handed sword base and then slap a two-handed weapon on it. So you have a gigantic longsword, but it swings like it's one-handed.
I found some good combinations, like taking. So to kind of explain how this works, you can combine any two weapons together, any weapon with any material in the game, to varying effects.
yeah,
And
I did see the thing with the boomerang attached to a exploding barrel. That was special.
There's some things like you can take. They have like Zonai Tech, which are special items that are more like techie, like flamethrowers. There's one that shoots lightning and another shoots ice. You can, for example, take a Zonai Tech thing, like which is one of those building objects you can get that's more advanced. Fuse it to your shield, and get like. So you say, for example, you get a sled. You fuse it with your shield, and now you have the best shield surfing thing around for like snow and stuff. Or with like a little cart that has wheels and you turn it into a skateboard.
I hadn't even thought about that, honestly.
Oh, there's tons of really cool like shield combinations.
I have
Shields.
the opening bass riff of Escape from the City stuck in my head now.
Yeah. If you like take one of those huge wing gliders and attach it to your shield, then it gives you more control while you're falling from like high up.
Oh,
It gives
okay.
you higher fall control, and like everything else has like all different properties. Um, if you get a spring, you can attach it to your shield. Do you do your shield surf jump, and then it boings and bounces you up really high into the sky?
I'll admit I forgot that shield surfing was a thing, so I
Oh
hadn't
yeah,
even thought about all the combinations for shield stuff.
it changes a lot about how you traverse through the game. Especially when you have like so many different options for getting around, and you just want a simplified one of just, oh yeah, I'll grab a shield. Shields are super super big in this game.
Hmm.
Um, but the best like weapons that you can get are from combining powerful monster parts with your weapon bases. Which, when you start out, it's all just rusted weapons and crap, you
Or
know,
sticks.
or sticks. But the durability is basically additive. So they can last for a long time or a short time depending on what you're using.
It also seems
Um,
to take a little bit away from both weapons. So if you combine, like, if you slap a stick on the end of a sword, the stick is going to break first, and you'll have a sword
mhm.
there after a couple hits. So I'm
Yeah.
curious what the percentage of durability loss is for each piece.
Um, so one of the major things that they've added to this game is something called the depths. Have you been there, Slicer?
No, I was waiting until I had like an armor or a potion to withstand that.
You want an armor to withstand that? It's going to require going down into the depths.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can also
I found
use
a chest piece of the climbing gear. That's about it so far.
mhm. You can use the so the game has a very interesting gameplay loop where items from like you have the sky islands, you have the overworld, and then you have the depths, and you're going to want to venture to each one of them to upgrade your character completely. And like, say for example, I want to be able to fly through the sky more freely. I need more battery charges so that like my stuff lasts longer. Well, I need to go to the depths for that so that I can like mine and farm and get all the different materials I use to upgrade my battery. Um, but in order to go to the depths and not get inflicted with gloom, which is a new status effect, when you touch these enemies, there's enemies that have like a buff, and it's also like a environmental hazard where if they hit you, the amount of damage they would have dealt to you um, decreases your maximum hearts. So your maximum HP goes down every time they hit you. Um, this can be mitigated by food or by like special armor. Um, but or just don't get hit.
Yeah.
Because you can create vehicles in this game with fusing. You can just use those to go over the environmental hazards. Depths are the coolest part of the game, to be honest, because it is an entirely dark underground that is the size of Hyrule. So it is the entire world map, size-wise, but underground, complete pitch black, and you have to use lights and create lights along the way to slowly light it up and find your way through it.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I have 98 glow seeds, so I can make some glow arrows. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you'll want the giant ones too. It is massive. You'll get lots of amazing items. What if you want non-rusted weapons? By the way, they're in the depths.
Oh, good. Okay.
Um, it's insanely incentivizing because it's a much more difficult area to be in, which the game is more difficult in general.
Yeah, I have noticed that. I'm very glad the first thing I did was, or the reason I got so many hearts right away is because I kept getting one shot by everything.
Mm-hmm. And upgrading your armor is not a straightforward task. You have to basically.
I haven't found anyone but the horse god fairy yet. So
it's really interesting that like one thing I really like about the game is in order to find out where things are, you have to talk to people, pay attention, and like either write down, screenshot what they're saying, remember what they're saying, and use that as the clue to guide you.
I have noticed
Because
that it's not always quests. In fact, it usually isn't. They just tell you where something is.
they'll be like, "Hey, I heard about this in this area," and you're like, "Okay, I have to make sure to go check that out later." And it's not put on your map or anything. It's just keep that in mind. And I like that. It's not like handholdy. Um, yeah. You gotta remember about shield surfing though, Slicer, because you can grind on rails with it, like literally Sonic style.
Oh, okay. I'll have to remember how to do it. So I'll have to look up a tutorial or something.
Shield, jump, and then parry
Okay.
while you're in midair. So ZL, X, and then A. Which if you attach a bomb to your shield and do that, you can do a bomb jump basically.
Oh, I thought you were about to say it automatically kills you.
No, it launches you upwards.
Well, that's beneficial.
I think this is honestly, so Tears of the Kingdom is the sequel to Breath of the Wild. It fully embraces that it's a sequel. It starts with like not a title screen, but going straight into a cutscene and straight into the intro sequence of the game. Story is a much bigger focus. I like that the combat is more balanced in the enemy's favor. Enemies hit hard and they are numerous, but as you get stronger, as you like do like dungeons and stuff, you gain the tools with which you can like fight back. Heck, you can like attach a gemstone now to an arrow, and if it's like a ruby, it creates a gigantic fire explosion, which will wipe out most enemies.
Okay.
All gemstones carry elements with them, with the exception of like amber, and they deal tons and tons of damage with it in a huge radius because those are expensive.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the only thing I found so far, or theorized, was the diamond and amber blade shaped. So they make good blades.
They make very good blades. And later on, you can actually the cool thing about fusing materials to your weapons is there's a merchant in the game that will unfuse your weapons, so you can get your weapon to right before it's about to break, unfuse the material off of it, and just throw away the crappy weapon.
Oh, okay. I hadn't thought about that part. I've only really combined weapons for the most part, weapons and then monster parts occasionally.
Yeah, the material fusion is just like monster parts are really good. There's so many different like unique combinations that I'm still discovering. And it kind of scratches that itch that I first had when I was first playing the game of like constantly finding new things. The entire overworld is changed. Some areas are drastically different. There's new towns. There's whole huge dungeons that for anybody who likes classic Zelda dungeons or classic Zelda bosses, they are more in that field, though still very much Breath of the Wild. And so I've been liking it a lot so far.
It's been the shrines are a little exhausting mentally. I'm used to just getting through a problem with base creativity. A lot of these you kind of got to think through them a little more.
I like that.
It is
makes
nice,
me feel smart when I get it done right.
Oh, it's absolutely. But if you're doing them like I am, back to back to back to back, it's very tiring. I think that's why I'm tired.
You might want to take a break.
Yeah, I'll probably hit up the depths.
The depths are really addictive. They're super super fun. And they give you the auto build ability down there.
Oh, that's super useful.
Which allows you to basically favorite a design that you make, and then you can just recreate it instantly.
I assume with the parts in the bubbles in your inventory, or
yeah, you have to take those parts out. You place them just down, and then you auto build, and it just assembles them for you instantly.
Nice.
And if you're lacking any parts, you can use the zoanite, the material, to just pay that cost instead of getting the material yourself.
Oh, that's really handy.
And you get that from going into the depths, which is why the depths is the best. It gives you everything you need to just fly around the world super fast. Casey over here dying as we talk about Zelda.
No, I'm
Yeah.
good.
I mean, that's
I'm going to
about
be
all
perfectly honest. It's making me reconsider Breath of the Wild and consider playing it again. But thankfully, my list is long and it is at the bottom. So
This makes Breath of the Wild feel like a first draft.
Hmm.
I cannot stress enough how gigantic this world is and how fun it is to try to navigate it. By the way, Slicer, you know I mentioned auto build?
Yeah.
You can get schematics for designs that can be instantly built from the depths.
Oh, good. That helps because I'm dumb. So,
Like I got one recently for a tank,
well, damn.
and another one for a motorcycle. Stuff like that.
That would be really helpful, especially the motorcycle, because I don't use horses because they control like ass. So, something to ride around on, like the motorcycle from the first game, would be nice.
You can make yourself a motorcycle. You can make yourself cars. My personal favorite is attaching rockets to one of those wing gliders and a control panel, and then like a steering wheel basically, and then like 3 fans, and then it takes off super fast high into the air, and then I can just control it and fly around the world.
I got to work on upgrading my battery before I do that. I imagine I'd be out of power by the time I stopped boosting.
You can go into your inventory and eat zonai charges and use them to recharge your battery.
Yeah, I've done that once or twice. I built an inefficient vehicle to get through a challenge, and I just forced my way through.
Yeah, but you can upgrade your battery. I've upgraded mine to have like almost 4 at this point.
Wow. All right.
And it's a huge difference. My charge is now outlasting some of my creations that I make.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's the ideal.
Oh, and
go ahead.
advice for the shrines. You can cheese a lot of them by just using recall to rewind a movement's an object's movement.
Yeah.
So say for example, there's something high up on a ledge. You pick up an object, lift it up, drop it, hop on it, recall it.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
So you can create your own elevators, basically.
I will probably be doing that. I don't know. A lot of the challenges I run into are, I don't know if that would help, but it's good to keep in mind.
Yeah, you can actually. I'm still learning stuff. Like I got these recent Zonai things that are stakes that can be embedded in walls, and I learned that if you embed those in walls and then put like a flat object on top, you can then ascend through it and create your own ascension points.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it is a very, very addicting game to play.
It was very fun.
I went to the depths at 4 hearts, by the way, initially.
Ouch. Why?
I had a lot of fun. It was terrifying, though.
To see what's going on. Why else do you go somewhere?
I wanted to see if I unlocked some stuff that made it easier.
Sounds like you did. So, hey, mission accomplished.
Yeah, you get bomb flowers down there. Lots of them.
That's good. They're kind of rare in the ground world, I guess.
You can also connect a unique currency called Po Souls down there.
Po Souls?
Po Souls. The souls of Poes are a classic enemy, but you collect souls down there, and you can trade them for unique gear and bombs and other really good stuff.
That's surprisingly metal. Like, did they consider what that means?
Yes.
Like, Link is basically Satan kind of thing is going on.
You are collecting those souls to send them to the afterlife by praying to a statue, basically.
Okay.
They were trapped in the depths. You are sending them to the afterlife where they will be judged. Doesn't matter if they're good or evil.
Great.
So, my mistake, not Satan, the Grim Reaper.
Yes.
My bad.
Yeah.
And you get a really sick outfit out of doing it, by the way.
Is it a giant cloak that turns you into a skeleton? Because if it's not, I feel like they missed a trick.
It is black and flowy, and it looks. I imagine by the time I get the headpiece, I'm gonna freaking look like some kind of Grim Reaper. Super cool. You can make a scythe, by the way, depending on what you fuse.
That makes sense. Yeah, I did find 2 pieces of the Yiga set.
Very good. Yeah, I'm still looking for the third one.
Yeah, I found the chest and the headpiece.
Have you done any of the major dungeons yet?
No, I didn't even. The one you found the barbarian set in before.
I mean, like, have you gone to like the Rito, for example?
Oh no, that's main quest territory. I don't do that.
I'm gonna tell you to do one of those first because it unlocks a lot of things.
That's fair. I did talk to Sidonis. I didn't get very far in that quest line, but I was just in the area. So
yeah, do one of those, and at that point, then you can then start to upgrade a lot of things, like the it's called the Purapad now instead of the Sheikah Slate because Pura made it, which she is no longer a child.
yeah, she's
She
like
fixed
a
the
proper
aging
adult.
problem. Yeah. And there's so much stuff in this game, so many quests, side quests, areas to explore, secrets. You know, all of the amiibo outfits from Breath of the Wild, by the way, are in this game and do not have to be gotten by using an amiibo. You can just find them in the world.
So far, I've had a couple days worth of amiibo scanning, and you just get skins for your glider. So far,
I think that part of that is locked to your story progression.
oh, okay.
But I did find like the whole Fierce Deity outfit and everything. So yeah, there's definitely some issues that, you know, some quality of life stuff that I'm not quite sure how they would work around, like how you have to scroll through, like you have to reselect the material you're going to use on attaching to an arrow every time you fire that arrow. But you can sort through the material list, so it's fine.
Already, the stuff they have a most used tab, so already the arrows are starting to float to the top.
Yeah, really, really cool. Like you can take a puff shroom, attaches your arrow, fire it, it creates a smoke screen, run up and sneak strike them. Like, just one possible thing you can do. Yeah. I cannot speak enough about this game without, like, I don't want to get into any spoilers. Obviously, I probably already spoiled some things, but you can travel through that world however you want, creating all sorts of things, attaching a rocket to your shield and using it to send yourself skyward.
So
stacking
a skyward shield, one might say.
A skyward shield, yeah. You can attach like 3 springs together, and like that goes even higher. Because the whole thing is, you know, you have the ultra hand ability, which allows you to attach things. You can make vehicles. You can make. It's used for a lot of very interesting puzzle solving. For example, I was exploring one part of the game, and I was trapped behind these bars, and there was a lever on the other side, but I could not get to it because the lever was broken. So what I did was I took a material that I had that's kind of shaped like straight enough. I used Ultra Hand to like move it between the bars over there and attach it to the lever to fix it. And then I used my Ultra Hand ability to pull the lever from inside the cell. And like that was a moment of like, I'm so smart. And I could just go retrieve my thing that I just used. Easy. Because, that's the game. You solve problems using interesting and unexpected ways. No person I've seen has solved problems in the same two ways, in the same way or at all. The caves are really fun. They add a whole lot of exploration. Some are small, some are massive. I had one where I had to. They gave me a bunch of parts to build like a monster truck, and then gave me a bunch of weapons and fuel cells to attach to it. So by the end of it, I was just controlling a huge death machine through a bunch of enemies. And that was fun. It was like shooting fire and lasers and stuff.
It's really fun to shoot lasers.
Mm-hmm. And then you get access to stuff like cannons that you can then attach to your shield, and then you can just fire cannons whenever you hold your shield up. Which I've been doing because, mining for materials. I didn't bring enough sledgehammer equivalents. There's way bigger enemy variety as well. Like,
That's nice to see more than just like the same 4 enemies.
A huge enemy variety. I'm still seeing new enemies. I don't want to talk about some of them because I don't want to spoil them. But the depths in particular has some pretty scary enemies. Yeah.
Do you get the feeling they're going for a 4 parts thing with this?
No, I don't think so.
Because
Probably not.
titles is mostly the reason for why I'm considering that. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. So perhaps Embers of something, Sand of the something.
Well, there was Age of Calamity the Muso, which was kind of a prequel, kind of a fic. Then you had Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. This very much seems to me like an ending. In Breath of the Wild, Hyrule is in a weird sort of limbo because Calamity Ganon is being held off by Zelda, and monsters are just kind of on autopilot. In Tears of the Kingdom, Ganondorf is back. He's powered up all of his enemies. They have huge camps now. There are boss bokoblins, which can sound a horn, and cause bokoblins to actually form an organized unit and create a shield wall and stuff like that. All of the enemies are scarier and more organized, and I've had a great variety of fights.
I don't know why that precludes them from doing further sequels in this setting.
But the thing about them not doing another one after this is some of the story stuff I've seen has an air of finality to it. I don't know. I imagine they were going to want to keep doing this type of open world. They're having a ton of fun with it. Though I know some people want them to go back and do the classic, very linear 2D, 3D Zeldas. Which, I enjoy those, but
I mean, this is fun, but I feel like they're just objectively wrong. Like, these are just better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's... When those were still coming out, it was a running joke that all of the games were basically the same. And they were like the
Yeah,
there was very little. It was just there is a new gimmick in every entry, and that was it.
I like having a set of abilities, and all of my abilities are supposed to be used to complete like a dungeon, rather than like you get one item halfway through the dungeon, and then everything is just tied around that one item, and then outside of that dungeon, that item might see one or two uses.
Hmm.
It's it's much better to have it be where you'll have the shrines which can focus on like one particular ability, but you can use all of your abilities to solve the problem still.
Yeah.
Um,
Make it feel like a world with a lot of problems and a lot of solutions, rather than a machine that needs the correct part installed in the right place.
exactly. And then that's what this world feels like. It feels like it presents me with a lot of problems. And it's like, okay, solve it. And there's not one correct solution ever. It's always somebody's coming up with something different than I did. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, hey, there's this fire right next to this chasm, and if you throw a pine cone in there, the fire will grow bigger, and then you can ride the wind over the chasm. But then somebody else will be like, I'm gonna make a bridge. Somebody else will be like, I'm just gonna make a glider thing, or somebody might
Do that spring thing you were talking about.
yeah, do a spring, maybe a horizontal spring or like a diagonal spring.
Or just a regular spring and then glide over the same way as the fire
Yeah.
thing would have led them. Yeah.
But there's so many different ways that you can approach everything that like your adventure feels very much like your adventure, not somebody else's.
And not something that was pre-programmed for you. Well, it was obvious. Literally, it was pre-programmed, but like it wasn't. You aren't following a very directed path to do things exactly as the developer intended you to do them.
Mm-hmm. Um, like, especially with the wide variety of like tech stuff that they give you, like it ranges from like, oh, hey, this is a fan, or this is a portable pot which you can use as a one-time thing to cook an item anywhere in the world, which is super handy, by the way. Being like far away from like any potential cooking pot and being like, I just want to cook right now. Boom.
Yeah,
To
it's very helpful.
to being like, oh, hey, this thing is like a hydrant that shoots water out. What is it? What use does that have? Well, let's see if you can combine that with some other stuff. Maybe something that's electric. There's all sorts of like you can even make your own sort of drones in this game if you want. They have a like a base that like seeks out enemies and moves towards them, and then a head which tracks and homes in on enemies, and then you can attach a weapon to that, and then it will have a weapon that homes in towards enemies and moves towards them at the same time.
It is a lot of fun, but man, those things are dumb. They're not. Yeah, I could use some work on that thing.
Yeah, but if you make a ton of them, it doesn't matter. Surround the enemy.
It's true. It's there's a temple, one of the shrines you face. You get two of them, and then you get a bunch of spike plates in the first of the two rooms. And man, it's fun just watching those things just construction derby themselves.
I use those two as a distraction to then sneak around and grab more parts to make like a fire one and then a laser one, and then just kept throwing them into the fray, and it was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
But
that temple alone makes me want to replay temple. The ability to replay a temple would be really nice.
Yeah. By the way, there's more shrines in this game than there were in Breath of the Wild.
Man, it does not feel like it. I'm actually struggling to find them at this point.
You've done nothing but look for them, though. Those are the only things you've been doing.
I've explored a third of the map, and I go to a new area, and it's like I see two.
You need yourself a shrine sensor. Go do a proper story dungeon, and you gain the ability to upgrade your thing with the sensor.
Nice.
I hope he does it, and then he goes to an area. He's like, I've totally completely cleared this one. Like 50 fucking shrines here on the ping.
Oh, absolutely. That's gonna be the case. Like a lot of them are underground, not even in the depths, but just like in caves tucked out of the corner.
Yeah. Um, and like some of the like little side quests are really fun. Like this lady asked me to take out these monsters off the coast, and I go there and there's 3 pirate ships being commanded by monsters, and I had to jump from pirate ship to pirate ship as they were trying to shoot like explosive and like lightning arrows at me. And like that was just like a fun adventure. Um really really excited to see more of the game. Um because there's more like there's no divine beasts in this game, right? All that Sheikah stuff, we're done with that. Divine beasts, they went away. Don't worry about it.
They didn't really say where they went. You can find like the crater from the iguana by the mountain, but
Let's just say they went back underground. The planet needed them or something.
sure that one.
And then instead you have what are they're called temples, which is a very Legend of Zelda thing. You always have like the Temple of Wind, or like like entirety of Ocarina of Time was going through the temples and you know empowering the sages or meeting the sages. Similar sort of thing here. So there's more of these dungeons than these temples than the divine beasts, and they're more fun by a wide margin because it's not like like tilt or twist the divine beasts and make them like move or whatever. It is, here's a bunch of problems, you need to find these things, how you find them is on you, but you got to explore thoroughly, and it's incredibly fun. Which, I cannot praise the boss fights enough in this game because they are extremely epic. Yeah. I would highly recommend, if anybody wants this game, just progress the story, focus on that for a bit, and then just kind of screw off. But you can screw off on your way to doing story,
Pretty much, yeah.
Don't be.
Have you hit a point in the story?
Slicer, into the microphone, please.
What? Oh, is it super quiet? Sorry, my mic must have slipped below the thing. Anyway, have you hit a point in the story where you feel it would be okay to pause and do a bunch of side stuff?
After I did the dungeon, it was like, okay, you can go do like other stuff. And I'm like, okay, awesome. I'm gonna stop for now, and that's what I've been doing, is just exploring, doing side quests, going into the depths, and then fighting. Like I freaking went into the depths and ended up walking into some kind of arena. That then threw a bunch of incredibly terrifying enemies way above my pay grade at me. But you know what I got out of it for like throwing every single thing I had at that like gauntlet of enemies?
I imagine quite well. It was something good.
A ton of extremely powerful materials and weapon bases to make. And not only that, I got the Majora's Mask item from Breath of the Wild, which makes it so that enemies don't attack you on sight.
Oh, okay.
Which is incredibly useful for the depths. Because enemies attack you on sight, and if they hit you, it takes away your max health. So just wear that, and you can explore safely. It was an incredibly epic moment because you know about the companions in the game, right?
Nope.
You don't know about the companions?
No.
Hasn't done any of the story stuff. Remind me.
Yeah.
That was in their last trailer, where they showed a bit of like Link fighting alongside Sidon. Well, I won't
Yeah,
say more on that.
I didn't watch the trailers, so
Okay, I won't say more on that then. But yeah, similar to Breath of the Wild. In Breath of the Wild, you did the divine beasts, and then you got unique abilities afterwards.
mhm.
It's a similar thing in this game. You get unique abilities afterwards, and they are much more powerful. In that they are not like really strong once, and then you have to wait like 5 minutes for them to come back. The cooldown on them is like 10 seconds.
Oh, okay.
At least for like the one that I have. I don't know about the others. But incredibly useful. Changes how you approach the game. At least the one that I have is. I don't know about the others.
I mean, even if the enemies pay attention to it, that's something to take pressure off me in combat. That'd be nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I cannot say enough. I know I've been going for a while. But just the ways in which I don't want to follow guides on this game. I want to find stuff for myself because the game wants me to.
So far, the only thing I've had to look up is how to throw an item. There was one shrine where you needed to throw like a fire fruit at a guardian thing, and I couldn't get the controls to work.
It's kind of interesting. It's just, if anybody else is struggling, just attempt to throw your weapon and then hit up, which brings you to your materials, and then select a material instead. Very useful for exploring the depths without wasting your arrows on just shooting the glowing flowers.
That does make sense.
Because sometimes you will like inadvertently like discover a wall that was just 10 feet away. Other times your shot goes and it goes. But tone wise, the game is much darker than Breath of the Wild, which I appreciate. Everything is extremely dire.
Yeah, there's not a lot of good things happening at the start of the game.
Like it makes Breath of the Wild look like everything was in peace, which it kind of was in that weird sort of limbo.
Yeah. I mean that's pretty much the best way to put it. It was a weird limbo state.
Where it's like we have the calamity here, and like the divine beasts are acting weird, but they're not actively trying to kill us. They're just acting up.
In trade, nobody can make any progress on fighting Ganon's minions because they come back every 30 days. So,
So, in this one though, there's like an entire fighting force of Hylians that form up, and apparently you can like team up with them to take down certain strongholds. I haven't gone to that point yet though.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But the people are fighting alongside you. It is not like Link has to save the world alone. He cannot do it alone, which I appreciate. It's like everybody has to get involved.
Nice change of pace.
Which is probably why you can't go straight to the boss, because you actually need all of the people to work with you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Like, I got chills when I got to my first major town, and it was like the situation there was just so dire and such a harsh comparison to what it was before. The music had changed, and like, ugh. But I think this is one of my favorite games of all time, right now.
Recency bias, but sure.
Recency bias, of course. I have to wait to see how it all ends, But I mean, in the first 15 minutes, the game gives you more lore and story than Breath of the Wild entirely. So they listened to all the feedback people gave them. It feels like. And if you have any questions, or like if you want to know about anything in the game, Casey, let me know, because I have been just chomping on this. Same with you, Slicer.
Fair. Yeah.
I literally, like, not last night, but the night before, I just didn't sleep. I ended up in the depths, and I just went.
Yeah,
That works.
I'm totally surprised that you are jumping at the bit to talk more about Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Like,
Yeah.
I had not expected this turn of events. Man, I wasn't sure you even liked the series, but I guess if you're having fun, go for it.
I love, by the way. Yeah, I know. I love Zelda. What am I gonna do? I love this series, and I love this more right now than any other game before. Like, when we say monster parts, by the way, to give you a better picture, monsters now have horns. All monsters have horns, and all of them are shaped like various weapons. So, say for example, you find there's the boss bokoblins have horns that are shaped like axe heads of varying different qualities depending on how high of a tier the enemy is. So you combine that to like a spear base, or like a long sword or like a great sword base, or like a sword base. You can create like a halberd. You can create a short axe. You can create a great axe, so on and so forth.
Wouldn't recommend attaching horns onto a great hand, a claymore. It doesn't work so well. You get the slowest weapon in the game that's also very short.
It works very well in a flurry rush, though.
That there is that. It is high damage. There is the benefit to that.
It's also great when you fight like a Lionel and hop on its back and just switch to that weapon. It hop.
I've only seen a Lionel. I haven't tried fighting one yet.
They're scarier.
Yeah,
They are significantly scarier. They have more attacks. Their AI is better. A little bit better. And the weak spot on their head the hitbox for that has shrunken.
Oh, that kind of sucks.
Because previously you could aim like towards their head, and like it would count pretty generously. You could even shoot them from the back of the head and it would count. That is not the case. You have to shoot them in the face. So, yeah. Thankfully, though, there are bows that fire multiple arrows, so you can use that to make up for your lack of going pro archer mode.
Pretty much. That was the case before too. The forest bow, I think. I forget which one it was, but it fired 3.
There's the Lionel bow and the duplex bow, both fire multiple shots as well.
Ah.
Which duplex bow you get from fighting the Yiga clan, which are really fleshed out this time.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
In the underground, they have entire huge camps.
That lines up a lot with the areas I found the 2 pieces of the armor. They have journals that you can read, and they're talking about having bases everywhere. I was very confused because there's quite a few travelers, but you only ran into 2 of their bases so far.
Yeah. So one of my favorite things is Blue Lizalfos drop a horn that looks like a katana blade.
Yeah, I made a katana. It's great.
So you can make katanas, and like a newer type of enemy drops a horn that looks like a hammer, so you can now make hammers of varying shapes and sizes. And it doesn't have to just be different materials. It can just be parts of the environment, like we've seen before. have you gotten any magic rods yet, Slicer?
No, I haven't got that far.
If you get a magic rod or like anything, you can attach a ruby, a sapphire, or a topaz to any item to make it shoot that element.
Yeah, that much a friend of mine did tell me that you could make your own elements as needed.
If you attach it to a magic rod, it greatly increases its power and its scale of the attack. Synergistic like that.
Makes sense. I mean, that's very handy.
I just want to mention we're at like 50 minutes and we started talking about Zelda at about the first minute.
Yeah, that's fine. We can.
Yeah, we could table this. I apologize. I've very much tried to. I kept trying to stop myself, and then I just wanted to talk more.
So Casey, how was your week?
Yeah, Casey, how was your week? You go first.
First.
Yeah.
At 51 minutes, I'm going first. All right.
Yep.
That's how we do. All right. Gotcha shit. I have heard stuff about Honkai Star Rail and such.
I've heard stuff about it too.
The Genshin Impact people and the Honkai Third Strike, whatever the fuck the old one was called. Which, by the way, Honkai Third, whatever the fuck it's called, is apparently still their flagship title, which baffles me on every level. Like, Genshin Impact is a worldwide smash success that has raked in billions of dollars, and it's not their flagship. Like, what the fuck? But, yeah. So, Star Rail is not very good. Well, it's good, but it's not very good. I wouldn't really recommend it.
I have a friend who's obsessed with it right now.
Here's the thing about Star Rail. It is... Genshin Impact as a game was a game before it was anything else. There was a pretty interesting, like, active gameplay element of how combat works and all that stuff. It actually worked really well, and it had a wide open, interesting world to explore, even at launch. Star Rail has basically none of those things.
Oh.
So it is a turn-based RPG instead of an action RPG like Genshin was, which is the same, to my understanding, as Third, whatever the fuck it's called. I really should look it up, but I don't care, so I'm not gonna.
That's fair.
It is a turn-based RPG, so it's a turn-based RPG that is a gacha, which means it is a lot more familiar as just a fucking gacha game. Because that's how pretty much all of those are. So the gameplay feels much more standard. The world is not well explained at all. Like, I played, I don't know. It's not on Steam, so I don't have a count for exactly how long I've been playing the game, or how long I had been playing the game. So I've been playing about 8 hours at a guess, like a complete guess. And the first zone, that is the tutorial zone, effectively, where it's supposed to introduce you to the world and give you a basic understanding of how everything works, does none of that. It explains the gameplay systems. It leaves you completely fucking lost on just about every element of the setting. Like, there are these gigantic lore dumps that are just drops on you and doesn't give any context for.
Huh.
I had completely finished the tutorial and was ready to move on to the next part of the setting. The next hub, I guess you could call it. And still hadn't explained how the deities of the setting work, or how they're related to the classes, because they are directly linked to what the classes are, but none of that is explained. You get brief introductions to the term Aeons, which is their gods, and they don't really explain that they're gods. They don't really explain that they're related to the classes and paths and all this other shit. And you're just kind of scratching your head and waiting for someone to actually stop and give you an okay. Here's how this setting works. Here are the basic foundational concepts that you need to understand. And then we can move on and build from there. Doesn't do that. Not at all. So that's not great for getting invested in anything that's going on, because it doesn't let you understand the context.
Yeah, not really. I mean, it's hard to get engaged at that point.
So yeah. I was considering just actually giving a basic rundown on how the setting works, and I could do that. I don't want to, so I'm not gonna.
Fair enough.
Your microphone is doing weird shit, by the way. So.
Like actively right now? Oh.
Yeah, it's fixed, I think.
Yeah, it was coming unplugged.
Okay. Okay. There are a bunch of gods. Each of them basically embody a concept, and then the followers of that god, they don't really get a choice in becoming a follower. They're just sort of preordained, I think, kind of. Each have a path that they follow that defines what their existence is. So you have the path of destruction, so you break shit. You have the path of preservation, which is making things, I think. And then there's erudition, which is learning things, and it's really obtuse as far as character classes go, but sure, like they couldn't have. Genshin had sword, big sword, bow, magic, and spear, and this has fucking destruction, erudition, preservation, and fucking the hunt, and like fucking what? Yeah, it's all very, very obtuse, and they don't seem bothered at all by that, and don't feel like explaining it to you. I was under the impression this is because it is a Honkai game, and this is all stuff you're supposed to have learned in the previous entry, third whatever.
Okay,
No.
so that makes... What?
No, you are not. Most of this stuff in the setting is entirely new and not introduced in the Honkai stuff, apparently.
I was gonna say I have a friend who is really into the game, and they were saying that the story was much better than Genshin for this, and so they play Honkai. They prefer Honkai to Genshin. So I was wondering if like maybe there was like some added context or something, but like nothing.
I mean, this is secondhand information I'm getting from someone who has played Honkai third whatever. So I don't know for certain, but from what they have told me is most of the concepts in Star Rail are new. I don't know. But yeah, they don't... They aren't interested in giving you too much context, because I feel like the idea is the protagonist is supposed to be a complete fish out of water who doesn't understand anything that's going on, is a complete goober as a result. because that is what most of the active events in the game are, which is what I am calling the things where you click on a trash can and there is an in-depth event related to studying and contemplating the trash can.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
you might be wondering, trash can? Why did he say trash can? That's an odd example to pull, but, I guess that's just one of the funnier ones for what the game has, is you just interact with a trash can and it's cute. It is. It is less cute the 8th time you do it with the 8th trash can. So, I like there are a bunch of these little events where you interact with a certain object and it has a little spiel where you can do certain actions and it will give you a bonus if you happen to pick the right choices. Okay. Some of them are cute. Most of them are repetitive and mundane. There is one where you hide in a closet and just sort of contemplate the idea of hiding in a closet and imagine yourself as hiding from the hotel devil of the hotel that you're staying at, and then room service comes and you convince yourself that it is the hotel devil come for you, so you jump out and scare the room service person. And that is very cute. That is very nice. That is the best one in the game. There is another one where there is a service rating card in a hotel room and you fill it out. That's it. That's the whole thing. You fill out a hotel service rating card and you say how you liked the bed and the tea, and that's it. Yep.
That's it?
Yeah, pretty much. And, of course, as I said, there are the multitude of trash can events where you look at trash cans and contemplate them. And
Think deeply of the trash.
Then there is the trash can where you start a very small and very odd quiz about the multitude of trash cans that are in a city.
Okay.
Are the developers okay?
I don't know.
They just really like trash cans.
I guess, that's the weird thing about it. Like, the closet thing, that's cute, and I'm not going to call it interesting, but it was cute and funny. But, it is a city, and there are dozens of interesting things all about the city that you could interact with, but all these special events are about the fucking trash cans, and I'm like, why? A couple, sure, but why not vary it up and do things for all the other stuff that is in the city? There's a mining town and there is a minecart, and you could, I don't know, fucking jump into the minecart and pretend you're in fucking Donkey Kong or some shit. I don't know, just something that isn't a fucking trash can. It's baffling to me that they made it, for a concept that is already kind of mundane, they made it more mundane by making it so repetitive. But, yeah. That whole thing was... The characters are fine. They're not especially interesting for the most part. They exist. I was immediately charmed by most of the characters of Genshin. Not so much for this. Kafka is cool and mysterious, and her introduction has very odd tones for what she's actually doing, but that just makes it more intriguing. Everyone else just kind of there.
So are these characters actually characters, or are they just puppets for you to inhabit?
They're characters, yeah. They have their own personalities, you know. Dan Heng is the stoic basically fucking what's his name, the rock god from Genshin's Chinese city. I've forgotten his name. He's just the stoic guy who studies things and is just has a very dry wit. And then you've got March 7th, who is the Genki girl, and that's her entire personality, more or less. There's Herta, who is the researcher who is super genius and doesn't care for any of your shit unless you're interesting as a test subject, which you happen to be. Like it all feels very standard. Like I say, I said it's not a good game. I was wrong at the outset, and I corrected myself immediately. It is a good game. It's fine. It's perfectly adequate.
It's not what you wanted.
It's just impossible to live up to the standard that Genshin set, I guess, is where this comes in. Like, a sci-fi Genshin, I would probably be okay with. This is not that. This is just fairly standard gacha turn-based RPG with maybe some higher than normal production values. So
I've been told that Honkai is their number one priority forever.
That is bonkers to me. Like, utterly. It is... It does not feel interesting in any capacity. In fairness, it didn't seem interested in making me interested, so that might be part of the problem. But I'm just like, whatever. I bought the thingy pass, the monthly pass to give you extra rewards for daily logins, and about half an hour later I decided I was never going to play the game again.
Definitely had that experience before. You buy the whatever the monthly subscription is, and yep, that unlocks just enough of the game that you stop focusing on what you can't have and realize, oh, I just don't like this game.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't especially recommend it. Mint probably put it best by saying Honkai Star Rail review, just play Genshin, which was his summation of what I was saying in the Discord. Yeah, pretty much. It's just not very good. I keep saying that, and that is the comparison talking. Like, it is such a better game. Genshin is such a better game that this just doesn't stand a chance at competing. It just doesn't. There is so much less to it. So
I mean, in a market where the games are so similar like that, or at least gotcha games, you kind of have to be good. You have to be the best. Everything is a competition.
And they are literally competing with themselves on this one. And yeah, if you really, really, really want a sci-fi setting of Genshin, this is probably the closest you're gonna get. So go for it, I suppose. Yeah.
Sure. So, done anything else this week?
Super Eye Patch Wolf released a video on Fear and Hunger.
Yeah.
There was a mild controversy because he did an oopsie. At least I say it's a mild controversy. I don't feel like looking into it further to see how stupid it gets, because it always gets stupid. But the video itself... Sorry?
Inevitably.
Yeah. The video itself got me interested enough to actually purchase and play the game after about a week of wondering about whether I really wanted to, because it's that kind of game.
Yeah, I actually had a similar experience. I had it for like 2 weeks before I actually started playing it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is about as brutal as he describes. Probably a little less so because the implication was it's kind of roguelike in how you're probably going to have to start from the beginning a lot. Not really. Like, I played for about half an hour and got to a point where I could save with impunity and had a decent enough run that's like, yeah, I can keep going from here from now on. So it's not quite as brutal as he was portraying. But the content itself is pretty brutal. And the experience of actually playing it, aside from all the not really roguelike elements that he was describing. But to run through my first experience of the game, I did actually type it out, so I'm reading directly what I wrote. I fought an ogre that tried to sting, air quotes, me with the stinger between its legs. Yep. I found a hydra made of people that asked me to feed it other people and called me a prick for ignoring it.
I do love the people hydra. It can't actually move. It's completely harmless.
Yeah.
That's just hilarious image in my mind of like, feed me people. No.
Prick.
Screw you.
Yeah.
Prick.
I think it literally says screw you, prick. Yeah. I accidentally stepped on a board with a nail in it and got an infection that would kill me. Yeah, that's a thing that can happen in that game. But before I could succumb, a crazed prisoner accosted me and managed to survive decapitation long enough to murder me before the infection could. Yep.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah, the game kind of teaches you to go for the head most of the time. And if you can't, then find a way to go for the head. So when a crazy dude just sort of rocked up and I instantly chopped its head off, I was very surprised to find it just continued to beat the shit out of me until I died.
Yeah. Some enemies are fine being headless.
Yeah, so that's... I haven't played very much of it. In fact, I'm going to pull up Steam so I can get an accurate amount of playtime. But for what I've played of it, it's interesting. I will say that much. I have played 2.4 hours. So, just long enough that I can't return it if I wanted to, which I don't. Yeah, it's interesting. I like the feeling of discovery and just sort of anxiety that it engenders. Like, you go in with the expectation that, yeah, I'm probably going to die doing this, and it's not going to be pretty, and it's going to be bad. It doesn't matter that you know that. It still feels kind of unsettling and claustrophobic, and you still freak the fuck out when you suddenly get a fucking ogre that starts fucking tearing ass trying to get to you as soon as it comes on screen. It's pretty good. I appreciate the atmosphere of the game, and I will probably play more when I... It's a game that probably requires a very particular mood. I can't understand how Super Eye Patch Wolf managed to get so obsessed with the game that he couldn't stop playing it, because it's not a pleasant experience to play.
Oh, you play it for like 30-minute chunks. It's not.
Yeah.
I played it for 4 hours over the period of a couple days.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting and engaging, but ooh, wow. Is it easy to bounce off of it and be like, I'm going to come back to this later? So, yeah, I tentative recommendation, because I haven't played that much of it. So
It's fun if it's the kind of game that you're into.
if
As I
you
mentioned in the
really like
Discord,
Berserk,
yeah, if you really like Berserk.
Yeah.
But yeah, I decided to go into the game files and crank up the values of all the starting equipment. So being the toughest in combat does not win you the game.
Nope.
Surprise.
Reminder about the board with a nail in it thing. That would totally have killed me if I didn't find the right items.
Yep. You just have to get lucky and find the right item to heal you in a box.
Or on the ground, green herbs, sort of on
Or
the
that.
ground. Yeah.
Oh, right. Green herbs. There's so many status ailments in that game.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of what's interesting about it. It's 90% about discovery. It's like 2% combat. The combat is such a minor fucking thing in the game. Just learning how to deal with situations is the most important thing.
You don't get like character points, so you can make your base health pool bigger like a standard roguelike. You just get better knowledge. That is one thing that iPatch Wolf was very accurate on. You just get smarter.
There are character perks that you can purchase. It requires soul stones. No, but for the character as you're playing, it's just something that you keep for that run, and you can learn techniques and stuff. Like the knight can learn leg sweep, which is designed to take out the legs of an enemy, so it makes ogres much easier to fight. Things like that, and it can also be used to kick down doors pretty much instantly.
Oh, sweet.
So, yeah. Like, you can get that sort of thing, and it does make your character stronger and give them new abilities, but that's pretty much the only character advancement mechanic, aside from some very esoteric stuff that we don't really need to get into. Watch the video if you feel like it. Commenters are very quick to say it only talks about like 5% of what is actually in the game.
It's a pretty good introduction to it, though, honestly. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it spoils a bunch of stuff, but like that's not the point of the game.
Yeah, so that was a cool thing that I started. It's kind of depressing that I found more value in that than Star Rail. That is not a comparison I was considering until just a second.
I'm not really surprised by that. I mean, a lot of indie games are better than, AAA shovelware.
I mean, that's the thing with gacha games, having one that's genuinely as good as a full release game is a rarity,
Yeah, like full recommend for Genshin. I'm back to that. That's where I am. It is easy to forget how good that game actually is. Don't play it every day. Don't do the dailies. It's not fucking worth it. But, the actual game, when there is content to be played, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the dailies are kind of why I stopped playing to begin with.
Yeah, they're absolutely fucking miserable. There were like 6 of them. And you had to do 4 every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a misery. Yeah. Just don't do it. Do it if you need those stupid fucking keys for the character quests that require those keys to unlock. That's the only reason you would want to do it. Yeah, but that's pretty much all I got. I might reinstall Genshin now that it has an entirely new region for me to explore and do stuff in, and game to play. And there's another one presumably coming out in September. So that's where I land. Genshin is a good game and people should play it, I guess. But people will probably play Tears of the Kingdom before Genshin. Like that's. I feel like that's a reasonable expectation for how things will go currently.
Yeah, it's a game that allows freedom and creative problem solving like no other game I've played before, and I really enjoy it.
We don't really need to get into that again, but yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, that's the appeal to me.
If you want a world with creative problem solving that encourages all of that, sure, Zelda, go for it. If you just want a fucking character action game with a nice big world to explore and stuff to discover, Genshin is still great.
Yeah. I just know for some people, like, that element isn't of the elements that like I like in this game are not going to be what they like, because everybody different.
Yeah. I would not characterize Legend of Zelda as character action anymore. Like, that would be the takeaway I get from Breath of the Wild, is it doesn't really want you to play it like that. It doesn't want you to go in and attack enemies with a sword. It wants you to roll the boulder down the hill and kill everyone down at the bottom.
I wouldn't really classify a lot of Zelda games as character action to begin with. The closest that you get is Twilight Princess, because you unlock kind of a move list. But for the most part, it's always been kind of just action adventure. You know, you swing your sword and things die. Don't bring up your shield when you need to. I would actually, though, I don't know. I feel like it feels like, because of the variety of the greater weapon variety and ways you can do combat, they did a great job of combining that like creative approach that they wanted you to have in Breath of the Wild and actually merging that into combat. So it feels better combat wise, but I don't even know if I would still call it character action. Yeah, fair. Just ruminating on that.
Yeah, it's just an option on a long list of options.
Mm-hmm.
You can play it like that. It doesn't really want you to. Yeah. So that is now 52 minutes of talk about Zelda. Keeping a running tally in my brain. Do you have anything to talk about that is not Zelda? Like, I just... Up front.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Zero, go for it.
I saw the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Oh, all right. That thing. Yeah.
That is the best Marvel movie to come out in years.
I feel like you say that a lot.
No. I would actually. I usually say I enjoy them, or I had fun.
Okay. Yeah.
This was legitimately wonderful and like amazing.
Okay. I am going to adjust my understanding of how Zero speaks and say I enjoyed it. It was fun as mild praise.
Yes, that is exactly that's. I enjoyed it. It was fun. As I watched it once, I'm never gonna watch it again, most likely. But I felt like, you know, it wasn't a waste of my time, and I got something out of it. You know?
Yeah.
This was. I got really emotional during the movie. Like, it does a very good job with its characters, and how they interact. It develops and gives you the entirety of Rocket the Raccoon's backstory, and it feels like it could be the end of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and they could just stop there and it would be fine. You know?
From what I have been somewhat spoiled on this movie. I have not seen it. There are things I could say, and I don't know whether I should say. But
I haven't seen it and do actually want to see it, so I'd rather you didn't.
Okay. Yeah. Um, James Gunn is not around at Marvel anymore, and that is what I will say about that.
Yeah. So the movie feels like a finale, and because of James Gunn, changing over to work with the DC movies instead, it kind of is. Like they can bring the characters back, but it's not going to be the same.
Yeah, he was actually pretty mad about everything that happened in Infinity War and Endgame. Like,
They took control of his characters that he was working with, and did
he
some stuff.
he did not like that they killed Gamora. He did not like that Thor was with the Guardians at the end of Endgame, and was very glad that someone else decided to deal with that for him. He did not like that Peter Quill punched Thanos, which honestly I think was the most in character thing in that movie.
Yeah, I
For
was going to
him.
actually say, like, he has shown before that like he is the one who will shoot first when like family is threatened.
Yeah.
And
Like the
yeah,
thing that the way that Wooly talked about it when they were doing a review of that movie was like, yeah, he fucking shot Ego the second that he found out that Ego killed his mum, and everyone cheered, and then he did the exact same thing to Thanos, and everyone shit on him for it. But we
yeah,
should have known it was coming because they told us.
it was. I think it was actually really good character writing for that.
Yeah.
Um, I think they do a very good job of handling the whole Gamora situation.
From what I've heard,
Um,
yes.
and I felt so much love in the movie, like a lot of just they had fun making this. They care about these characters. These characters care about each other, and I don't know. It made my heart feel full at the end.
Oh. That is a very sentimental way to put it, but okay, cool.
Yeah, well, I was just I felt I felt like in an ensemble cast movie, um, especially like something superhero related. I am used to being like, okay, well, they're a team, I guess.
Hmm.
Okay, I guess they're like kind of friends, but like, damn, does this one feel like a bunch of family? It feels like each character is valuable in their own way, and they each bring something different, not just as like a combatant, but as a person. And I won't say any spoilers about the movie. Just that the characters are expertly written. It is a fantastic movie. Go watch it. Uh, yeah. Volume
Cool.
3.
I guess we have a new ending for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. A new
Yeah.
ending point.
No,
Like, forget everything else that happened. Just
I would
there's
call that
there's
fair.
Endgame, and then there's Far From Home, and then there's this.
Yes. You can ignore all the other movies. I mean, like, there's some stuff I like in them, but none of them really hit me as hard. You know?
Hmm.
Like, they kind of just happen. We were sitting in the theater, and which my brother is now working as a manager for that theater,
Hmm.
which is kind of nice. We get some free tickets.
Hmm.
Um, and they show the preview, they show the trailer for The Marvels, which is Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and that one lady from
Nobody knows.
the WandaVision show.
Who? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That film looked cute. I liked that Captain Marvel ate shit on a table, and
Yeah.
that's pretty much all I got from it. Miss
It
Marvel
it
is cute.
it looks fun in a way that in a very good way. I watched Miss Marvel, by the way, the that show, and I didn't really enjoy it that much, to be honest. Like really good, really good like discussion about the culture she's from and all of that, but like the actual like character progression and character dynamics and that stuff that I care about the most was meh.
It's the thing that Marvel traded on from the very beginning, and it's just kind of not been there since Endgame.
Yeah, it's weird because that's their strength is the human nature of these characters, you know.
Yeah.
And like, start going on a Marvel rant here.
Well, it's a nice palate cleanser from effusive praise of Tears of the Kingdom for an hour. So you know.
Don't get me started again. Don't. I almost did.
So as a comparison between Zelda and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
I mean, what have we had since then? We've had we had the Ant-Man movie, which was okay. There were parts I enjoyed, but it also felt like that movie didn't go hard enough, you know?
Ant-Man has never been a stellar inclusion in the MCU in the first place. Like, none of the films have been that amazing. They've been cute little side things at best. And then they decided that the big bad of phases 4 and 5 apparently is going to be introduced in Ant-Man, and it's like, okay, that's a choice.
Technically, was introduced in the Loki show.
Kind of, but not really. And I really don't want to think about the Loki show. The Loki show, yeah, that was a thing too. And it's Loki detached from everyone who mattered to Loki, and calling him a narcissist, and then immediately disproving that he's a narcissist because he acknowledges he's a narcissist.
There was
still makes me mad. I'm sorry.
There was Thor: Love and Thunder, which is a movie that I like less the more I think about it.
That's perfect.
So I just try to forget. There was the Doctor Strange one, which was okay.
It was
good visual effects,
but they did multiverse stuff okay.
Yeah. Again, that also gets worse the more I think about it.
It's barely a Doctor Strange movie. Yeah.
Black Panther: Wakanda Forever was good enough, I guess. I liked some of the stuff they did with the other secret society they introduced
Can we spoil that?
Yeah, it came out a year ago.
Yeah,
like 6 months ago.
You killed my mom, but it's okay. I forgive you.
Yeah.
You literally rocked up and murdered the head of state, but it's okay. Don't worry about it. Peace now.
Yeah. And then about a year and a half ago, 2.5 years ago, something like a year and a half, there was Shang-Chi, and I liked Shang-Chi. I wanted to see more of him. We've not seen anything of him in anything since then. Because I thought that was a good way to start off on a new character and everything.
We had No Way Home, which technically is the start of the multiverse crap. It barely feels like a Marvel movie and more like a Spider-Man movie, just celebrating Spider-Man, which is what Sony wants. Let's be perfectly honest.
And then there was the Eternals.
Moving on.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, what comes next? Well, let's see. Next year we have Captain America: A New World Order.
Next year we don't have shit. Writers' strike.
But they're that's what it's scheduled for.
Mm-mm.
They'll get an AI to write it. Don't worry.
I feel like the legal department will advise them against that, considering any largely AI-produced content is not copyrightable. That is the precedent that has been set, because there was a comic book that did it with AI art, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, no, that's not a copyrighted work because a human didn't create it.
Yeah. I think
that decision being, I think Disney's lawyers would have a better chance of trying to fight that, but we'll see. I'm actually really curious if
it's a lot harder to fight when a precedent has been set. But yes.
Yeah, but it's Disney's lawyers, so I'm actually curious how that would go.
So you have scheduled, though not confirmed to actually be coming out, next year. You have Captain America: New World Order, because new Captain America. Where it's Sam Wilson.
Yeah, and probably Bucky will be there. I guess nobody cares.
Yeah. Probably.
I say that a lot of people care more about Bucky than they do Sam Wilson. I am probably in the minority on this, but even for people that really stan Bucky Barnes, his story is kind of over a little bit.
It is very much over, which means you need to, if you're going to use him again, you need to have a reason, and that reason is the Thunderbolts movie that's coming out after that, where Bucky is in the Thunderbolts team that goes on missions for the government. Which has like Taskmaster and like, hey,
Taskmaster.
Do you remember that one guy who's like, you are now U.S. agent? He's in there. Ghost, the character from the second Ant-Man movie. I probably you don't remember her.
No.
I
watched that movie. Nope. I think I watched that movie in theaters. Nope.
No, the antagonist, who was actually not an antagonist if they just sat down and had a conversation for 2 seconds.
Nope. Nope. Still nothing. I feel like we're on that fucking that song that I've already forgotten again from last episode.
And then you have the two other characters that were in Black Widow that weren't Black Widow.
Yelena, the new Black Widow.
Yelena, and then Alexei, or the Red Guardian, as he's called. So it's just a bunch of the characters that are kind of on the fringes and pretty much nobodies, to be honest.
The characters that exist.
They are stapled onto Bucky. And they're gonna make a movie out of that. So then you have Blade. I mean, Blade should be good, right?
I think I heard that Blade is kind of shut down.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. Once the strike ends, they're gonna start filming, according to recent sources. Yeah. So uncertain on that.
Here's the thing: the second that the WGA strike ends, SAG-AFTRA have talked about going on strike.
Which ones are SAG-AFTRA?
The Actors Guild.
Oh, right. Okay, that's going to be a bit of a problem.
A little bit. Yeah.
So, yeah, and then finally in 2024, November, end of the year, Deadpool 3 comes out.
Okay.
I like Deadpool. Popular
It's a fun
opinion, I know.
series. I like it.
I fucking don't. So it's, you do.
And then they do, and then there's the Fantastic Four movie in 2025.
Okay. Let's be real about this. Well, let me be real about this. You just talked about a lot of films.
Yes,
I care about fuck all of them.
I know. I care about Deadpool. I don't care about the rest.
Where does Kang come into any of those films?
Oh, he comes in the Avengers movie in May of 2025.
Who's in the Avengers?
I don't know. I have zero idea. They call it Avengers the Kang Dynasty, and I'm like, but there aren't any Avengers. That the team's not around.
Yeah, like I don't actually know how Multiverse of Madness ended. Did Scarlet Witch stop being villainous?
Uh okay, spoiler warning.
It's been out for a fucking while, dude.
Okay, yes, but she also kind of maybe dies, so they can kill her off if they want.
Okay. Is villain is Vision still dead?
Um I don't know.
Okay. So we don't have Iron Man, obviously. We have a Captain America, so I guess that's close enough.
Oh no, they're gonna have the Ironheart show, don't you know?
Oh god. If they pull their roster for the Avengers from the fucking sideshow streaming service bullshit. Wow.
Oh yeah, no, this is the shows where we get stuff like frickin' hey, here's Nick, there's the Nick Fury show, there's another Loki, and then we get Ironheart, Echo, Agatha, Coven of Chaos, and Daredevil Born Again. Yeah.
Jesus.
You know what? I want the first line Nick Fury says in the Nick Fury show to be, "Who the fuck are the Avengers right now?" Just so we can establish that. Just give us a flat establishing who the fuck are the new people that we're supposed to care about. Because I don't give a shit about anyone.
I mean, I care about Spider-Man. Is he coming? No.
He was never an Avenger, and no one knows who the fuck he is.
Yeah. What about well, they don't know who Peter Parker is. They know who Spider-Man is.
Oh, that's fair, yeah.
I actually forgot about that detail. So
yeah, that's the one important detail of like we can bring him back, but like secret identity is safe at the expense of your family and friends forgetting that you ever existed in their lives. Which, you know, didn't have any family left to begin with, so.
Also, that whole identity thing that is a problem, but you know, fuck it, who cares? It's comic book bullshit. It's unfortunate that we have to just hand wave things with it's comic book bullshit now. We never really had to do that before, but that's where we are now.
Yeah.
We have Captain Marvel is there, kind of.
Yeah.
Loki could join.
We have Captain Marvel. We have Ant-Man. We have
Captain Marvel, Ant-Man, Spider-Man, ? Captain America,
Deadpool. Sure, you get to wear the shirt.
Deadpool,
Avengers shirt.
Daredevil. I guess they could bring in
Daredevil, yeah.
Daredevil. Doctor Strange would be an odd choice, considering Doctor Strange is usually the aloof one who controls basically the entire universe. But fuck it,
You
he's
know what?
not that in the MCU. So
You know what really kills it for me? The post-credit scenes. Because every post-credit scene, it's not like, you'll see more of them later, and then like 3 years pass, and you're like, okay, all right. Not even like you're having an interconnected universe, and you're hinting at everything being interconnected, and these characters having the interconnectedness, but then they only show up again in like an Avengers movie in like 4 or 5 years, rather than
except they don't, because Phase 4 didn't have an Avengers movie.
yeah,
So it's going to be more like 10 years.
yeah.
Yep. That's where we are. America Chavez, the new Avenger, I guess. I'm trying here, man. I'm trying.
Yeah, why? Sure. I mean, Thor still technically is alive,
Yeah,
right?
Thor exists, I guess.
They've got a Black Panther in there.
I guess.
You got a new Captain America too.
You know what it's going to be?
What?
It's going to be Thor and Sam Wilson babysitting a bunch of baby Avengers. It's going to be Ironheart. It's going to be New Black Panther. It's going to be fucking Miss Marvel. It's going to be Spider-Man. He's probably supposed to still be like 18, even though it's been like 20 years. That's where we're going to be. It's going to be the Avengers and their two dads.
Okay, not gonna lie, if that was the concept, I might be into it. Oh man, we have a new Hawkeye, a new Black Widow, a new everything.
Yes, we do have a new Hawkeye. Oh my god.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. This is. Yep. Kids Bop Avengers. We're doing the S Club Juniors of the MCU. So here we are. Oh god, kill me now.
All this to say, go watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's probably the last and greatest thing we're gonna get out of the MCU for a very long time, if at all.
Yeah. Remember the good times.
Mm-hmm.
With the character who is not the character you know anymore. Because Endgame killed her.
That's such an interesting conflict that happens. Like the way they handle it is like literally like, not to get into any spoilers, but Gamora being like, "I am not the person that you knew. Stop projecting onto me."
Yeah.
Which is fair.
And getting to see like, you know, that stuff gets handled, and I think it's handled well. So yeah. Also, favorite character, Cosmo the dog.
Okay.
Because it is a Russian space dog with a collar that speaks allows it to speak in a Russian accent, and it has telekinesis. And it speaks like it's a dog. Gets so upset and offended when you call. I think it's a her. We call her a bad dog. Take that back. He did not mean that. I am a good dog. You know.
Honestly, that sounds good.
So it's very fun. So yeah. Aside from that, this week. Yeah, no, I kind of I kind of went off on my two major things, so anything else seems minor in my brain enough for me to forget it. So, is it for me?
Slicer, how you doing?
I don't. Yeah, I wasn't sure if there was anything last minute, but yeah, I didn't really do much of anything else. Work is the same as usual.
Oh,
What
did you
was I
play that new
playing?
game, Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah, I did. Before that, I was playing. I believe I was replaying Horizons because the DLC came out, but I didn't realize it was post-story DLC. So
Horizons or Horizon?
Horizon, as in like Aloy bow
Yeah.
robots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had to beat the story to get to the DLC, and so I was trying to do that. Didn't actually get that far, despite playing it for several days. But that's my own need to do side quests got in the way.
Can I ask you a question? When did that DLC come out?
A while back, I
It
imagine.
came out mid-April.
Oh, okay. I thought that they got kind of screwed over by Zelda again. That would have been too funny.
Oh,
To be
God,
honest, they kind of
I mean, they kind of
They-
were, yeah, obviously, because
kinda
Slicer
were.
stopped playing it for the sake of music.
they legitimately. I think they released a trailer on the same day as a trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, and just completely overshadowed. Nobody
Yeah.
was talking about it.
not surprised.
I'd feel
Every
so
time.
bad if the game wasn't so boring.
I watched like a zero punctuation on the sequel, and like I've just heard a lot of negative things about the way the writing went, and that kind of irks me because I already felt like Horizon Zero Dawn was a game that did not need a sequel. But
You're not wrong.
then,
I mean, character-wise, the character has gone through her arc. There's nothing left for her to do, personality-wise.
yeah, you would just normally, if you want to go in that same setting, pick a different character. Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. The only problem that Aloy has is that nobody seems to understand how much pressure she's under. Of like, she's literally the only person on the planet who can work these machines. So she has to do this. She's not a workaholic. She has to do it. So everyone else feels ignored.
I mean, you say that, but the only reason she can work these machines is she picked up a piece of technology that was presumably pretty ubiquitous in the olden times. So it's just a case of, hey, someone else picked up that same piece of technology and they can do what she can.
isn't
Oh,
it tied
no,
to her genetic code?
She's a clone of the creator of the technology. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which, that sounds like, since you're the only one who can work this technology, just go and risk your life fighting these monsters. Okay? If you die,
Or the world ends.
yeah. If you die, we're screwed. So it's, you know what would have? I feel like if since you've introduced cloning, it would be an interesting way to reset her abilities and progress the story by playing as another clone later on, and to keep a line of clones going through generations.
I mean, I guess mild story. You find it out pretty quick. Some of the people who got on the spaceships actually landed on other planets, and they come back with another clone that they made. So
that why aren't we playing as that clone?
I don't know. That'd be interesting because she's essentially a puppet slave. So
I mean, that sounds like a story, though.
Yeah,
it does.
sounds
I mean,
like
it would be great. That sounds awesome.
interesting story. You have the mystery of why is this is supposed to be Alloy, right? Why doesn't she remember? And then you find out, you're like, oh, okay. Like you could, yeah. There's a reason why a lot of the Legend of Zelda games use a different Link, even though it's the same character design mostly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like Link has much of a personality in the first place. He is
Not
a
really.
block of wood that swings a sword.
Yeah,
It's
he
getting
does.
better, but
He does have a person. It's evident through his expressions, and Breath of the Wild actually has dialogue choices that reflect it pretty well. One thing I actually... okay, I gotta stop myself. Stop myself.
53.
I almost went into how the dialogue choices have changed in tone since he got his memories back. Not going to do that.
All right, moving on. I don't know where we're moving on to because my week's over and I think we got it. So I think we can just end of the episode. Or any last minute things?
I started playing while I was waiting for Zelda. I started playing a bit of Metroid Prime Remastered, which I have an interesting relationship with. When I was a young baby boy, sheltered in small Christian town America, I went to Blockbuster and I rented Metroid Prime. I was so scared of that game. And it was my I didn't even get that far in. I saw the giant burning monster corpse, Parasite Queen corpse at the beginning, and I just couldn't. And I was like, I remember thinking at the time, oh, I'm old enough. I can handle games rated T for teen.
Oh
No, I could not. And I was crying, and I had my mom return the game.
Oh.
That is horrible.
But now I really enjoy just the atmosphere of the game. From what I've seen so far, the gameplay is fun. It feels nice to be able to jump around and shoot, and the strafe dash and everything. Like, genuinely, I didn't get that far in, but I'm excited to play more of that in like 3 months. You know.
After your third playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom.
You know, after I find the last Korok.
Christ.
I'm kidding. I would never do that.
That'd be crazy.
I know somebody who did, though, in Breath of the Wild. Found all like
Why?
900.
Why?
They're completionists and they were having fun.
Isn't your max inventory like 300 of those things? Like, it's
Yeah. And you know what you get for getting like all like 900-ish of them?
isn't it a golden turd?
It's a golden turd, yeah.
Yeah.
You get the realization that the Korok seeds they give you are their poop. I wonder if there's a special reward for doing all of them in this game, or if they just give you a second turd.
That would be hilarious. It's a better reward this time, I promise. It's just a bigger turd.
Even better, it is a golden turd on a stick, and it's basically Arale's weapon from Dr. Slump. It's poop stick. Smacking into people's faces, and they just die of humiliation and misery.
Poop stick has infinite durability. Cannot be removed from your inventory.
I think that was Arale. I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah. We had some Patreon stuff. Do we already do that or no?
I don't think so. It's been about 3 weeks.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Cool. Then I will do that right now. Thank you to our following patrons. Let me see.
God, it has been about 3 weeks. Yeah, we did record last time, but it was just me and Zero talking about fucking smartphone for fucking an hour.
So thank you to Rio Hitsia 21. Thank you to Sailor of House Thunderbird, Vale, Greek Guy, Ethan F, Crossbrain, and Troper 37 for your donations and for your support of our channel, our little weird group that's been going on for like 10 years. Don't think about it too much.
9.5.
We're not there yet. Drew.
It's like the inversion of the little kid that wants to be 8.5. Thank you very much. I'm 9 in 6 months. No, we're 9.5 years old. We're not 10 yet. God damn it.
Yeah. I did one other thing, which was I'll just finish on one last thing, which was I blitzed through the Xenoblade 3 DLC, the Future Redeemed, their story DLC, in which they brought back the protagonists from 1 and 2, and they are in your party in that game, which is super hype. And Rex got tall, buff, older, and has a bit of a goatee now.
Chad Rex.
Yes, he is Chad Rex now. His main gimmick is whenever he crits with his double spinning edge, it recharges it, so he can just keep spinning and spinning until he grabs aggro and dies. Then you revive him and he starts spinning and spinning and then dies again, doing a ton of damage in the process. That Xenoblade 3 DLC is literally a game on its own, by the way.
Oh, sweet.
Entirely new cast of characters that you are controlling, with the exception of the 2 returning protagonists. 2 of the characters are the children of those protagonists, though due to circumstances, not exactly. Those children aren't aware of the relationship because of story and plot stuff. Which is it's a very much a DLC about family. But yeah, very good story, like fantastic little game on its own. It's like 30 hours. Not 30. It's like yeah, no, that's like you could get like 30 hours out of that DLC alone. It is a game within a game. Much like how the Xenoblade 2 had the Torna DLC, which was also its own game.
I like how we're getting back to expansions now.
Yeah.
We've had all of the like hour-long DLC crap for about 10, 15 years, and now we're back to fuck it, it's 10 hours at minimum, or what's the fucking point?
It's like you have a whole new set of characters, you can bring them all the way up to level 99, and there's super bosses for them. It is its own game. Legitimately. Great story, great stuff. I can't talk about it more because it would spoil the entirety of the trilogy. Legitimately. It is built off of everything that happened in... It's more heavily based off of stuff that happened in 1, but like 2 happened as well, you know? And like, it is a prequel DLC that requires you to have played Xenoblade 3 first. Like you could start it first, but it spoils the entirety of a lot of the setting and plot stuff of not plot, but entirety of the setting of Xenoblade 3. Which is, I think, part of the appeal is getting to learn about that stuff yourself. Because it starts and you're like, what's going on? What's happening? But yeah, that DLC is only for people who really like the series and have played, you know, at least 1. If you didn't like Rex in 2, that's fine. He's better. They fixed him.
Fixed him by giving him a gym card. Jesus.
They made him buff, and you know, he had kids. He wields 2 great swords, and he spins around like a Beyblade until he dies.
3 great swords, but one of them is reserved for certain people.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. That's a joke that didn't need to be made, but I'm okay with it.
I
It was
mean,
made, and that's fine.
all right. Just there's something I could say, but it's a spoiler about what happens to Rex after 2.
Yeah, you don't need to talk about that.
But I don't want to, because. But let's just. It is indeed a third grade sword.
Oh my god. All right.
Good to know.
Yeah, you know, good old Rex. Shulk's there too. I love Shulk. I like
No kidding.
Play the games. They're good. Seriously.
I had no idea you had this affection for Nintendo exclusives.
Oh, hey, you know. Originally, the Xeno series wasn't a Nintendo exclusive. This doesn't. But then they got like acquired, and they worked on. Did you know they worked on Zelda? They worked on Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Monolith Soft, the creators of the Xenoblade series. Did you know that they do open worlds really well?
How do you feel about Bayonetta?
I still haven't played 3.
Yeah, good.
I got scared hearing what everybody was saying.
I barely played Bayonetta 2. Man, for a series I really love, like, I barely play that game.
Bayonetta 2 is still the best design. It just is.
So, I guess that's the podcast.
Yep.
Hang on, I'm just trying to think of another way to tease you about the Zelda thing. By the way, we are at about 55 minutes of Zelda talk now at this point.
That sounds about right.
I have a friend who's playing Breath of the Wild for like the first time right now. It's their first time. It's the only time it's the only exposure they've had to Zelda aside from like a couple hours in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, if you didn't play Ocarina of Time when it came out, you probably don't want to play it anymore.
Yeah. At the time, groundbreaking, fantastic, phenomenal. Go back to it. It's hard. If you don't have the nostalgia, it is hard to go backwards through that series. And the remake of Ocarina of Time is on the 3DS.
Well, let's be perfectly fair. Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and not so much Wind Waker, but Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, they are very much in the awkward teething period of 3D games.
I actually really I put Majora's Mask very much above Ocarina in quite a few ways because of I'm getting oh gosh, I'm gonna start another discussion.
Yeah. You can absolutely go back through that series. It's just there are certain points where it's just the teething problems are there and it's so impossible to ignore that it just makes playing the game miserable when you've played games that have better design thanks to learning from mistakes. Creative solutions to problems that were only discovered in making those games.
Literally, Breath of the Wild made Zelda one of Nintendo's main franchises.
Again.
Yeah, it was
very much one of its main franchises for about 15, 20 years. And then the fatigue of the formula kind of wore thin really, really badly. And we didn't care about going skyward or riding trains, so it kind of fell by the wayside, and then Breath of the Wild revitalized it.
and brought in a lot of new players. It sold 10 times as much as Skyward Sword.
I bought it. I gave it a go.
Yeah, Skyward Sword sold like 3 million. Breath of the Wild sold 30. Helped that it was the literal like launch title for the Switch, but even so, like that game was designed to bring in new players and new people into the series. So they're not going to go back and do the classic Twilight Princess Ocarina of Time style game after this, because you would just lose all those people you just gained.
They might for smaller titles. They might do a small, let's say $20 Zelda game. Like, they have done that sort of thing since Breath of the Wild, but it was things like what did they call the rhythm one?
That was it's like Cadence of Hyrule or something.
Yeah. Like, they have done the old style games, but they've done them in ways that have unique elements to them that allow them to jazz up the formula in ways that, going skyward and riding a train didn't.
And they remade Link's Awakening, the old 2D top-down, but like the 3D very linear style is not going to come back in the way that it was, because it being there was a problem for the series. Even if you liked those games, it was causing fatigue not only on like the fans but on the developers as well.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I can't imagine those are fun to make.
Yeah, no, they said it. They've gone in interviews of like they were so refreshed and so excited and had so many ideas for Breath of the Wild that's where Tears of the Kingdom came from. They couldn't fit all those ideas in one game.
No one likes to do the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
That is a great way to turn creative passion into misery. So, good on them for getting the chance to do something new and interesting. Getting to flex those creative juices, muscles, whatever words.
Juicy muscles?
Yeah, juicy muscles. I mean, sweat happens. We've been talking for 2 hours. We should probably stop.
This podcast is like a Zelda sandwich. We had it at the beginning, a little bit in the middle, and then we had it at the end.
Yeah, we have hit about an hour of discussion of Zelda.
Hey, you know what? That's our limit.
I feel like it's not. I feel like we're going to be here again next week or whenever we record again, but you keep telling me those sweet little lies.
I'm not even a fourth of the way through the game.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say I'm closer to an eighth. It's massive.
I look forward to doing this all over again in 6 years for Ashes of the something lands.
Ashes of the Lands.
Yeah, Ashes of the Land.
They're all wearing red hats. Yelling about Pikachu.
I didn't get it until he said that. Yeah, okay. Okay. That's where he went after Pokemon finished.
He went to get the cloning technology from Aloy.
I feel like we're crossing the streams in ways not meant to be crossed. What's that Pokemon? It looks like a steel type. Steel dragon?
Pokemon Infinite Fusion, out now.
A friend of mine's been playing that game nonstop, and she has nothing but good things to say about it.
Oh, I was
not to start another topic because I would like this to be over soon, but
that was something that I did because we haven't been on for so long. So next time, I'll talk about it next time. But I posted about it in the Discord. I posted a link to the game. I got people invested. It's a good game. All right, we end.
Bye, Patreon, Discord, links in the description. Bye, everybody.
See you guys.
Goodbye.
you know that as soon as people see the title of the thing is going to be Fandom Flux is in tears. And they're going to see the title of the episode. They're going to see 2 hours and 15 minutes, and everyone's going to know what happened.
Oh boy, we're talking about Tears of the Kingdom for 2 hours, but 15 minutes of intro.
It's so hard to get an open world game to be good enough to have that type of discussion.
Are you really doing this? Are you really doing this?
I'm joking.
Alright, I'll catch you guys later. Have a good night.
Later.